Do I see a baby? Is there a baby in the shot? Is that an actual?
Bro,
Yeah, that's a real baby.
I'm worse than the person who brings a baby to
We
the
all see it.
movies or a baby on the airplane, right? Like I'm doing this because, yeah, look, it's COVID, it's the pandemic, it's RSV, all this crap going around. Don't blame
Jeremy,
me. I did
yesterday
my
he was
part,
breastfeeding
Jeremy.
the baby, bro. Imagine how awkward that was. He was breastfeeding the baby, man.
Did that baby come out of your mangina?
From TV to movies, the podcast as well. At Jeremy Piven, of course, is how you can follow him on Twitter if you're not already. Let's start with Keswick. Let's start with Philly. Let's start with the stand-up and what everybody should expect to see Saturday night, where I'm sure that place is going to be rocking.
Yeah, man, I love stand-up. Stand-up is, I've had people say to me, everyone's going to expect you this high like watermark for from being an actor playing Ari Gold and whatnot. Are you okay disappointing them? I'm like, disappointing them? It's I've had people after my stand-up shows say to me, I had no idea you were this funny. And I'm thinking, I'm 113 movies into it. Wait, what's going on here? It's a backhanded compliment. I appreciate it. I love doing stand-up because it's almost like, listen, Doug Ellen wrote Entourage brilliantly. And this is a way for me to kind of, be the writer and star, director, producer, everything. It's a one-person show, not one man. We can't be gender specific.
Right.
It's my honor to do impressions and tell stories and observational humor and make people laugh at the Keswick Theater, which, by the way, they're just reopening for the first time since the pandemic.
Absolutely. What's your go-to impression? And I don't mean as far as like the jukebox, like, hey, Jeremy, do this, like the one that you love the most.
I love them all because I do everyone from Stallone to Mike Tyson to Owen Wilson. I do it all. But by the way, I'm doing these impressions not, like a strange, awkward ventriloquist.
Right.
I'm telling stories and then, having to enter into the characters to make the stories clear, if that makes sense.
No, the only other person, and it's just because of chronology, because he's older than you, that I've seen do this so well on stage is Kevin Spacey, talking about times and interactions on the movies with different actors that he's worked with. And that's immediately what I think of, because it's not just, and I'm not knocking Caliendo by any means, we love him, but it's not just coming on and doing like a Barkley, or you're telling intimate stories and you're telling interactions that you've had with these people, and you're bringing life to them with them not being there.
Yeah. Did you say Charles Barkley? Did you just mention Charles Barkley out of nowhere?
Well,
Caliendo, that's one
Caliendo.
of his big
right.
impressions.
Because I was basically separating the two, where it's not like you're coming on doing a bit per se in Owen Wilson's voice. It's a conversation or an interaction or an experience you may have had with who you're doing. That's all I was saying.
Absolutely. He's brilliant. His impressions are incredible.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, we love.
So you do a good Charles, man, because Charles, man, he is something special, bro. Something special.
Charles has a superpower because his superpower is he has no fear of anything. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. He doesn't care how he's perceived. He's so opinionated. He doesn't care about what you think of his golf swing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I ran into him one time. I said, man, I always watch you on TNT, man. What's in your cup? What are you drinking? He goes, come on, man. What do you think I be drinking, man? For real. He goes, hey, man, you doing your damn thing. For real, though. Y'all, man. I don't know if I'm doing, that was kind of like 18% Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, that's pretty good, though. and it's tough to be fearless in this day and age. It's really admirable. I totally agree with you about Charles. But how much of your past roles comes up in the stand-up? Like, do you become those characters for a couple of minutes?
Yeah, but I do it, like, for instance, it's selfishly, it's a way for people to when they come to the Keswick Theater for, Saturday night at 8 o'clock, please enjoy that transition.
Yes.
With when they come, they'll see me, selfishly, they're going to get a sense. They'll leave knowing who I am, as opposed to, oh wow, we thought he was Ari Gold, but he's actually this dude from Chicago who has a mother and is a human being. And I tell a story about my mom has been my acting teacher since I was a kid, so I run lines with her. So everything I said is Ari Gold. I said to my mom's face, which is insane considering how foul-mouthed my character is. And so I literally go into a story where I talk about running lines, not doing lines with my mind, running lines. Don't, please, guys, get your mind out of there. No one wins when you do lines with your mom.
No.
No, stop.
Can we put you on that?
So I run lines with Joyce Piven, and I enter into that, and I enter into Ari Gold and play him. And so I feel like I want to give people everything they want, and at the same time staying true to like what I genuinely think is funny and who I am and speaking my truth. If that makes sense.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Well, look, you're a sports fan. What are your teams right now?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm very loyal to my Bears and my Blackhawks.
I grew up a Bears fan.
There you go.
Yeah, but I'm a Cardinals fan as far as baseball, man. I mean, but football,
yeah.
I didn't like the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm from St. Louis, but I love Chicago just because of, Walter Payton, all those guys, the Fridge, all those guys, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, even, we all have our teams, but there's no one that couldn't possibly celebrate Walter Payton.
No question.
Whenever I run into a running back, I always ask them, who's the best? And I have to say, every one of them says Walter. No matter who that icon is, they all give it up to him. They say that he's the best. And it was so incredible being a kid and watching him. And I got to interview him. I was hosting the Chicago Film Critics one year, and I interviewed him and went to his office, and he didn't know me. I'm just like this kid, like, stage actor who just had broken into movies, whatever. He didn't know me, but he took the time and was so generous and sweet. That's why they call him Sweetness. But I'm going to be in Philly throwing out the first pitch at the Phillies Red Sox game Friday night before. Do I see a baby? Is there a baby in the shot? Is that an actual?
Yeah, that's a real baby.
I'm worse than the person who brings a baby to
we all see it.
Or a baby on the airplane, right? Like, I'm doing this because look, it's COVID, it's the pandemic, it's RSV, all this crap going around. Don't blame me.
Yesterday he was breastfeeding the baby, bro. Imagine how awkward that was. He was breastfeeding the baby, man.
Did that baby come out of your mangina?
If you saw my gut, then that's a proper assessment.
Yes, he's got a fupa. Yeah,
Sir, this is groundbreaking.
Yes. You're not getting this anywhere else, Jeremy. Trust me.
No, but look, I don't want to detract from what Jeremy is and what he's doing, which is this kid here who the screen has seen enough, by all means. But I'm curious though, because we are all in the audio world, the radio world first, and things have changed now to where we're streaming. That's why we get to see you as well as talk with you. But the podcast has always been the freedom, right? So we're even away from the FCC and all the other governing bodies on radio where you can just do whatever the hell you want. And you mentioned just the freedom that you have on stage with stand-up, especially here, Saturday, Keswick Theater, right? August 14th. What's different with you? How is Jeremy Piven just different on how you living with the podcast that you've been doing?
Listen, I've always loved listening to podcasts, and obviously they've you guys are probably couldn't sleep last night thinking, man, we need another podcast. Said no one ever. But I love the form. It's been incredible for me because all I'm doing is my first episode was with Jamie Foxx, and I did Tiffany Haddish, Mark Cuban, the actor and hip hop artist Common drops today.
Nice.
And, listen, the good news is I don't know what I'm doing. So that what happens is as I'm interviewing these people, I forget that we're documenting it. And I'm just having a conversation with my guys or women. And so it's just very kind of unfiltered. And I was just on set with Terrence Howard and Tyrese. We're doing a movie that we wrapped. I wrapped a couple days ago, And it's just like I've known Terrence Howard for decades, and so I'm just sitting with my buddy chopping it up, and people are listen. We've had a ton of downloads very fast, and that's because I think they're gravitating towards the authenticity of the show,
Right.
and that goes a long way. I'm not pulling any punches, and neither are my guests, and we're having a blast.
All right, hold on real quick. We're going to break on the network. Still live on the YouTube page. Back in 3. Still live with Jeremy Piven for another couple of minutes here.
Yeah, Jeremy, I had a question for you about,
Yeah.
two of the great roles that you did. And of course, Ari on Entourage and the old school character. Do you think either one of those films or series could be done today in today's environment?
Well, first of all, are we actually on the air right now?
We're
Just
not
on
the
YouTube.
radio.
Just
We're
on YouTube.
So you can curse right now. You can
Yeah,
do
you can
whatever you
curse.
want.
That's amazing. Just on YouTube. It's just the check's in the mail. I won't say the other things. That's amazing. I think that it's funny you're saying could they exist today? Of course they could, without a doubt. And the irony is, we're in the middle of this cancel culture. And the irony is that people now more than ever just want to be entertained, and they want a piece of something that touches them in some way. And Ari Gold was an equal opportunity offender, and you know what I mean. And he was fascinating and authentic, and those characters exist. And he was all bark and no bite. Was showing people tough love. His assistant was Asian, and he would say things that were offensive to Lloyd. At the same time, he wanted to toughen Lloyd up so that he could thrive in that world. You thought he was a pig, and he was, sleeping with all these women, but he was monogamous. So the reality is people miss Ari Gold, because I can tell you they do, because I'm on the road and I run into a lot of people, and they miss that character in that show. And there are a lot of, if the business were to look at what's selling right now, it's everything from things that are PC, yes, but then to things that are edgy and outside the box, like the show Dave.
Yeah.
About this white rapper.
From Philly, by the way.
Indeed, Lil Dicky, who is crushing it, and that show is so unique and beautifully quirky and original, and yet an homage to other shows that we love. And you got to remember that this also is a business, and it may be it's offensive to maybe some groups, but are they really offensive? And then you have to look and go, okay, well, a lot of people are watching it and receiving this. And like Shakespeare says, the lady doth protest too much. It's like, let's take a beat and not be so reactive, with this is a whole other conversation.
No, it's great.
No, it's great. Take a deep breath.
No, because I think what I take from this too is my favorite thing you've ever done on screen, because of the combination of humor and especially with the benefit of hindsight where we are now, intelligence, was PCU. It was so ahead of its time that I feel like if you were to do something like that, it's not a question that Harry asked, can it? I think it would work to the point where humor, laughing at ourselves, we're not going to protest. We're not going to protest. The fact that everything, social media to real life, is about dividing in groups that want themselves to be heard at the expense of others. PCU might bring our country together, Jeremy.
Well, yeah, you're right. I think it was ahead of its time for sure. And yeah, the irony of people protesting, saying we're not gonna protest, is really funny. That would be amazing to do a sequel to that. And I think as long as we're listening to each other, we're okay.
Yeah.
We're all opinionated and we need to be heard, but we also need to be listening to someone else's point of view so that we can progress and move on together. And yeah, and this is obviously and also to have uncomfortable conversations.
Right.
I think instead of just canceling people, it'd be good to have these conversations where we can learn and grow. And that's one of the great things about having a podcast. And on my podcast, How You Live in JAKIB, another great transition, by the way.
Love it.
We have these long, uncomfortable conversations, which we need to have, by the way.
Well, let me ask you a little personal question, man.
Yeah. I'm not sure though, because do you have a time for one more question, or are we going to have? Okay, because we want to promote everything that you're doing as well on the way out.
Right. But this is like with the pandemic and everything, and stars getting paid money. Is it the same level as it was, or has it gone down with the pandemic since they're putting everything on these live streams now, man? Because my daughter's an actor now. She's in Cali right now, shooting a TV series for Netflix. But I mean, is the money value still there? I mean, would you advise kids to get into this this genre now?
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned YouTube. It's like we're at a time right now where it used to be that you had to get the studios, and there's a long process where a lot of people have to sign off on you for you to possibly get okayed to get your shot. And now you can really take control of your own life and be self-empowered by creating your own content.
Wow.
Putting it out there on YouTube. Listen, you can hate on Jake Paul, Logan Paul, all those guys all you want. They've created a lane for themselves, and they have a legitimate audience.
Yeah.
And that's real, and so, are they, and they want to be taken seriously as athletes, and they're bringing a lot of eyeballs to these events. So you, as to switch over to your daughter, and she's doing a Netflix show. Netflix, it's they're the biggest guys on the block, and so she's going to have a very big audience, and she will get her shot.
Yeah.
As far as compensation, listen, it's just an honor to be working, and work, will get you more work. So I would say don't even focus on the money or any of that stuff. You just got to get in the game, start contributing, and the rest will work its way out.
Appreciate it, man.
We open up with parenting advice. We end with acting advice.
Yeah.
And everything in
life
between.
Advice.
Yes.
Really.
Everything in between. Jeremy, we can't thank you enough, man, especially hanging a little longer. This is awesome. Keswick Theater, August 14th. That's Saturday night in Glenside. You already know out there about the amazing Keswick Theater, the reopening now with Jeremy Piven at Jeremy Piven. How You Live in J Piven is the podcast we've been talking about. The movie that you alluded to with Terrence Howard, The Walk, you just finished wrapping that, so we'll take a look on that. And then again, from Ari Gold, PCU, and so Old School, so many things that you've done on screen. You've touched a lot of people, and your work is strong, brother. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys, man. This is maybe the longest interview in the history of it.
Sorry.
I'm honored. I'm honored that you guys took the time. I really thank you.
Yeah, I'll see you on Saturday, man.
Brother, come on.
Thanks,
I'll see
Jeremy.
you on Saturday. I'll have my buttercream on too. All right, man.
We've got extra cream for you if you'd like.
Extra cream with the mystery meat.
That's Jeremy.
Right,
there he is.
Jeremy,
that's awesome.
That's amazing.
Right.
Oh my goodness. What do we do? I mean, can we just end the show?
I know. Where do we go after this?
What are we supposed to do? We can't follow Jeremy Piven.
No, he just dropped the mic. Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Terrence Howard lives around Philly.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.